Most people don't fail because they weren't good enough. They don't lose because they were weak. They lose because no one ever taught them how to survive the moment before the moment. That split second when everything hangs in the air, heavy, trembling, electric, waiting for you to choose. And they freeze. They collapse under the pressure of noise, doubts, screaming, fears, clawing, expectations suffocating. In that moment, the world doesn't slow down for you. It speeds up. It roars. It demands. It tears at you. And every second you hesitate, it decides for you. And it rarely chooses mercy. Decision-making isn't some calm chess game played under perfect lights. It's a street fight inside your own mind. You standing alone, while the storm rips through every corner of your heart. No help, no backup, just you, and the weight of everything you're about to become. Most people never survive that moment clean. They either lash out too fast, regretting their reaction, or they wait too long, regretting their silence. But what if I told you that survival doesn't come from reacting faster? It comes from pausing harder, from ripping yourself out of the chaos, and slamming yourself into stillness. Not 10 minutes, not even 1 minute, just 10 seconds, 10 raw burning, deliberate seconds of absolute silence. Science has a name for it: cognitive interrupt. When you flood your brain's emotional center, the amygdala, with pure focused silence, something incredible happens. Your primitive panic systems lose control. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your mind that plans, that reasons, that wins, wakes up. You stop being a prisoner of adrenaline, and you start being a builder of destiny. And here's what's even crazier. Your brain was built for this. Evolution wired us with the ability to pause before the kill, pause before the leap, pause before the cry. Because the ones who paused survived longer, not the ones who panicked, not the ones who rushed, the ones who knew how to freeze the noise inside their own ribcage. Silence isn't weakness. It's armor you forge in the middle of a storm. In those 10 seconds, you strip yourself raw. You tear off the layers of panic, ego, fear, and you stand face to face with the truth. Who you are, what you want, what future you refuse to betray. Most people never even realize this weapon exists. They think winning is about being faster, louder, tougher. It's not. Winning is about being still when everything inside you begs to run. You have that weapon already, buried inside you, under the dust of 1,000 rushed decisions, under the regret you stopped counting years ago. And if you can reach for it, if you can claim it, you can reshape your entire life, one breath at a time. 10 seconds of silence, 10 seconds of control, 10 seconds to change everything. The world hands you chaos. You answer with silence. And in that silence, you don't just survive, you rebuild. But that's just the first crack in the armor. The real weapon, the one that doesn't just save you once, but for the rest of your life. You're about to forge that yourself. Here's the brutal truth. Most people never want to face. You are not made of your dreams. You are made of your decisions. Every fork in your life wasn't about what you hoped for. It was about what you chose, when it was unbearable to choose. Most people live trapped inside the wrong story, not because they're stupid, not because they're lazy, because they didn't know how to see clearly, in the 10 seconds that mattered. When you stand in front of a decision, big or small, your brain immediately floods you with noise. Psychologists call it choice overload. Your limbic system, the ancient emotional brain, throws every fear, every past failure, every imagined disaster at you in one brutal wave. You're not thinking in that moment. You're drowning. And here's the silent killer. Most don't realize the human brain defaults to short-term survival when overloaded, which means it automatically leans toward comfort, fear, and escape, not toward growth, wisdom, or legacy. In other words, if you make your decision inside the noise, you almost always betray your future for your fear. That's why the silent method exists, not just to pause, but to clear the battlefield. In those 10 seconds of silent breathing, you don't just slow down your panic, you reboot your decision-making engine. Neuroscientific fact: silent, focused breathing immediately lowers amygdala activity by up to 60%. allowing your prefrontal cortex to regain executive control. That's why Navy SEALs, firefighters, elite athletes, all train in tactical breathing before high-stress decision-making, not to calm down, but to choose better. Imagine that. In 10 seconds, you aren't just avoiding mistakes. You're forging a smarter, stronger version of yourself, someone who can navigate chaos with cold clarity. But there's more happening than just brain science. Something deeper, something spiritual, because inside the silence, you can finally hear it. Not the world's voice, not your fear's voice, your own voice. The one you buried under disappointments, the one that remembers what you truly wanted before the world told you to settle. Silent method isn't about hesitating, it's about hearing. Hearing the future self you're about to betray, or about to awaken. The hard part isn't learning this, it's choosing it. When everything inside you is screaming to run, to lash out, to give up. 10 seconds of silence feels like a war inside your chest. But it's in that war that you reclaim your power, and once you do, you become dangerous, unshakable, clear. Most people will never taste that feeling. They'll live and die shackled to the noise. But you, if you master it, you'll walk through storms the world uses as excuses. You'll make decisions the world calls impossible, because silence isn't empty. Silence is full of answers, and if you think that's powerful, wait until you learn how to weaponize it. Here's something they don't tell you. Smart decisions aren't built in boardrooms, on whiteboards or in sterile conversations. They are forged in ruins. They are carved inside moments when the world looks empty, when the easy choice is to crumble, to blame, to run. Every time you pause in silence, you're not just making one better choice. You're rebuilding your nervous system. You're rewiring what your body believes about danger, opportunity, and your own worth. Neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity. Every silent choice, every moment you breathe instead of panic, is literally reshaping the highways in your brain. Old trauma loops, broken fear cycles, they don't just fade by accident, they are retrained through deliberate silence. But here's the brutal twist. Most never realize. Silence isn't passive, it's violent. Because when you refuse to obey your panic, you are breaking the ancient chains inside you. Your survival instincts will fight you, with shaking hands, racing thoughts, acid fear in your gut. Every part of you will scream, move, escape, decide now. And that's when the real work starts. The silent method isn't about waiting for perfect peace to make a move. It's about choosing through the tremors. It's about standing in the wreckage of your old impulses and saying, I don't belong to fear anymore. That 10 seconds, it's not just breathing. It's you versus your past. Every decision you face is a game of high-speed chess. But here's what neuroscience knows. Rushed, emotion-driven decisions cause up to 40% more strategic errors than decisions made after even a few seconds of regulated breathing. 40%. That's the margin between building an empire and building regrets. You don't have to be the fastest. You don't have to be the smartest. You just have to be the clearest when it counts. And clarity comes at a cost. The death of who you were when you still obeyed your fear. Most people will never make it past this point. They will make 1,000 tiny betrayals of their future, because the silence is too heavy, too raw. But if you can hold it, if you can breathe through the terror, the doubt, the rage, you become someone unstoppable. Someone who can walk through the abandoned streets of their old failures and build new kingdoms where others saw only wreckage. Because at the end of the day, decision-making isn't about getting what you want. It's about becoming who you were born to be. Under pressure, under fire, without applause. And if you think you've seen what 10 seconds can do, we haven't even touched the next level yet. Most people spend their lives pacing at the edge of their own bridges, too scared to cross, too proud to turn back, too paralyzed to move forward. And here's the raw truth. Every major decision you will ever make, every life-defining moment, feels exactly like this. Blind, lonely, dangerous. And in those moments, the mind screams, I don't know enough. What if I fail? What if I lose everything? But science gives you a weapon here. It's called interoceptive awareness. Your brain's ability to detect and interpret signals from your body. And research shows that people with high interoceptive strength, those who can feel their own heartbeat, sense their breathing patterns, make better, faster, and wiser decisions than those who can't. Because when you listen closely, your body tells the truth before your mind even catches up. Here's the silent method upgrade. When you face a decision, don't just think, feel. Feel where the tension sits in your body. Feel the crackling anxiety in your throat. Feel the clench in your gut. Feel the pressure squeezing your ribs. These signals are your ancient survival instincts speaking, not to destroy you, but to inform you. The trick isn't to silence them, it's to understand them, because sometimes the body screams danger at old ghosts, not real threats. Sometimes it warns you about the wrong bridge, because long ago you crossed one and got burned. But if you listen deeply, you can tell the difference between true warning and old wounds. And that difference, it's the razor's edge between a life ruled by regret and a life ruled by power. Neuroscientists found that mastering this inner sensory skill can boost decision accuracy by up to 25% under stress. 25%. Imagine every job you take, every relationship you choose, every investment you make, all guided by that extra clarity. That's not luck. That's biology working for you, not against you. And you don't get there by thinking harder. You get there by feeling braver. So the next time life demands an answer, don't just scramble for logic. Anchor yourself inside your chest. Listen to your own survival system. And trust that wisdom doesn't always sound like words. Sometimes, it's a shiver, a breath, a heartbeat saying, "This is the way." Because the future doesn't belong to those who are fearless. It belongs to those who feel their fear and move forward anyway. And if you think mastering silence and feeling was powerful, the next evolution will show you how to command your mind itself, before it even tries to sabotage you. You ready for that? Most people think the mind is a master, a wise king sitting on a throne, issuing perfect commands. It's not. The mind is a scared child, a brilliant, terrified animal trying to keep you from getting hurt. And when you face a decision, any decision, it panics first. It pulls ancient alarms, throws random memories at you, floods your blood with cortisol, your fight or flight hormone. Stay safe, stay small, stay certain. But here's the brutal, beautiful truth. Your future self isn't built by obeying panic. It's built by reprogramming it. There's a method for this, a silent override technique, based on how your brain's executive function works under pressure. In neuroscience, it's called cognitive reframing, but you're about to use it in real time. Here's how. When the decision pressure hits, the rush of doubt, the spike of fear, you don't react. You pause, exactly 10 seconds, exactly one deep, slow breath. While the fear screams, you shift the question. Instead of asking, "What could go wrong?" you whisper inside your mind, "What will I regret not doing?" That one shift, that one tiny internal rebellion, forces your brain's prefrontal cortex, the center of logic and imagination, to seize control. It quiets the amygdala, your fear center. It restores blood flow to decision-making regions. It rewires the emotional charge. Because now, the fear isn't the master. The future is. Science proves this. In studies on high-performing decision-makers, elite pilots, military strategists, trauma surgeons, the common factor wasn't pure intelligence. It was micro-reframing under stress. In 10 seconds, they redefined the moment, not as a threat to survive, but as a mission to complete. And the ones who mastered it, they didn't just survive chaos, they built their entire lives out of it. Because regret doesn't come from failing, it comes from never stepping forward at all. The biggest betrayals are the ones you commit against your own future. When you stay silent, when you play small, when you bow to the old fears instead of building something new. Inside that door, a new life, a new version of you. But the key isn't strength, it's not knowledge, it's not even luck, it's silence and choice. So the next time the world demands an answer, the next time fear rushes your brain like a storm, remember, you have 10 seconds. 10 sacred rebellious seconds to break free from the old wiring and write yourself a new future. And beyond that light, that's where the real transformation begins. You ready to see what's on the other side? Because what comes next isn't survival, it's domination. You were never meant to survive the old world. You were meant to build the next one. And now, with 10 seconds of silent mastery at your command, you can. Here's what most people never understand. The brain isn't built to seek greatness. It's built to avoid loss. Neuroscientists call it loss aversion bias. Your mind instinctively fears losing what it has more than it dreams of what it could gain. And every time you hesitate, every time you wait for certainty, you reinforce that bias. You chain yourself to a smaller life. But when you reclaim those 10 seconds, when you anchor yourself not in fear but in silent intent, you change the chemistry of your destiny. Science proves it. Repeated micro-decisions that challenge fear pathways cause neuroplasticity. Your brain literally rewires itself toward courage, toward speed, toward boldness. And here's the real, soul-shattering truth. Every empire ever built, every legend ever carved, every life that shook the earth, started with one silent decision to step into uncertainty. Not louder, not stronger, just clearer. Because clarity, it doesn't roar, it doesn't shout, it waits, it listens. And when the moment comes, it moves without apology. That's what you are forging now. You're not just learning to make smarter decisions. You're learning to become a smarter weapon, sharper, faster, cleaner. You're rebuilding your future one silent rebellion at a time. 10 seconds, one breath, one stolen moment of power in a world that demands you break. Imagine it. You make decisions before fear can sabotage you. You move while others freeze. You speak when others stay silent. You build while others stay chained to doubt. You don't just change outcomes. You change the gravity of your life, the weight of your voice, the reach of your dreams, the strength of your reflection. And the best part, it's already inside you. It always has been. You were born for boldness. You were wired for victory. All you ever needed was someone to show you where the key was hidden. And now, you hold it. But there's still one final truth you have to face. And if you're ready for it, if you're willing to leave the old you behind, then everything from here on is yours to claim. Ready, because what comes next is where legends are born. Here's the brutal truth. Nobody tells you, you don't just live with your decisions. You become them. Every moment you hesitate, every second you choose comfort over courage. You're not just delaying life. You're sculpting your future in real time. And here's the thing about life. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't slow down to wait for your fear. It marches forward, indifferent, relentless, until you either rise with it or fade beneath it. But today is different. Because today, in 10 silent seconds, you learned a secret most people die without knowing. The quieter the decision, the louder the destiny. Scientists call this moment cognitive crystallization. When your brain experiences a clear, high-stakes decision, and you choose action over fear, you lock in a permanent upgrade in your decision-making pathways. It's like forging steel inside your own mind. And with every silent choice from here forward, you're not just choosing differently, you're becoming someone else. Someone who no longer hesitates at the edge of greatness. Someone who no longer begs for permission from a broken world. Someone who no longer mistakes safety for peace. You are the rebellion. You are the storm. You are the living proof that 10 seconds of truth can outweigh a lifetime of noise. And now, the only vow left to make is the one nobody else can hear. The vow made in the dark, behind your own eyes, where no applause will ever reach. The vow that says, I choose me. I choose the unknown. I choose to trust the fire I carry. You don't need the world to understand. You don't need the world to clap for you. You don't need a map or a guarantee. You only need this, the next 10 seconds, and then the next, and the next, and the next. Because once you master the silent moment, you master the impossible, and the impossible was never truly impossible at all. It was just waiting for you.